What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more video game music. It has been a hot minute since I've been back to this playlist. I do apologize. It's not one that I've given up on, and indeed there's many more really cool game tracks that I want to react to, so I'm going to try to be a bit more regular when it comes to updating this playlist. So we're going to listen to another tune from one of my favorite games of all time. I did react to a track from Chrono Cross already, but yeah, bottom line, in terms of role-playing games, the only other game that I would maybe put on the same level is the prequel, or not the prequel, the original game for the Super Nintendo, Chrono Trigger. Both of them, all the characters were designed by Akira Toriyama, the sort of guy behind the Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and GT, etc. series. And indeed, the music for both games is done by Yasunori Mitsuda, who, the soundtracks for both games are rightly famous and legendary. They've been done in orchestral versions in a few different on a few different occasions. In Southern California, I listen to a classical radio station around here called KUSC. It's 91.5. When they do like promo commercials for, hey, we have a pledge drive coming up, and we'd love it if you could donate, they play some of the orchestral versions of Chrono Trigger tunes on their commercials. So again, these are tracks which have grown so far beyond the two games from which they come, Chrono Trigger and indeed the sequel here, Chrono Cross. So once again, massive shout out to Yasunori Mitsuda, and we're going to listen to a tune from Chrono Cross, the sequel game for the PlayStation, called Star Stealing Girl. Now, it's a testament. I mean, Chrono Trigger, the original, you can beat it a number of different ways and at a number of different times, and there's like 25 different endings. It was sort of legendary and revolutionary in that regard. Well, Chrono Cross is even more so. Chrono Cross, there's like so many different paths through the game, and like when I've played it, I've beat it multiple times, and I try to kind of play it the same way every time, and every time I end up like doing something a little different, or like there's a part of the game that I don't even do like on one playthrough where it would like took a couple hours on another playthrough. There's a scene pretty early on, I want to say it's maybe like 30-20% into the game, where you go to this island, and I forget, you're looking for something there. Maybe it's like a fairy type of character, or maybe you're looking for like this poison antidote. I forget what it is, but you go to this island, and then there's like this cutscene. And again, I played the game after this a couple different times, and I like haven't gotten this cutscene again, so I think I like went through that part slightly differently. But one of the playthroughs, there was a cutscene where the main guy of the game and the main girl of the game, the official name is Surge. I always change his name, so to me he's not Surge, but the official name, the default name is Surge, and then Kid here. Now Kid, the game's been out for over 25 years, so I guess I'm not spoiling anything, but Kid turns out to be a clone of a character who was trapped by the sort of alien villain of the first game. In the first game, Chrono Trigger, the villain is this like extraterrestrial being called Lavos, and like this princess Shala, she gets sort of captured by Lavos at the end of the first game. So you find out way into the second game that Kid is part of this like project that was meant to like undo the damage that Lavos had done by like reversing the time circuits, but she like couldn't do it herself, so she like, I forget how she did it, but she basically like is able to send a clone that then grows up and falls into these time circuits as a way to like undo everything and release Shala from Lavos and so on. Long story short, the two main characters are on this island after this early quest, and it's like this campfire scene. So it's like a night scene, and they're talking, and Kid gives a little background about kind of like her tough upbringing, and she was kind of left to fend for herself. She was like an orphan. Again, we know that she's a clone by the end of the game, but you don't know that, so like you're just hearing how she grew up kind of alone and she didn't have it easy. And the whole time this song is playing, and it's emotional. It's like sweet but also like melancholic and painful. It has kind of like a nighttime jazz feel. So then there's a quick personal layer also. A few years after this game came out, I'd beaten it, and then over the next several years I would just replay it every so often. Something that has continued up into the present day. Every so often I'll replay this. I think the last time I did it was like 2018. It was a few years ago. In any case, a few years after I first beat the game, I was playing it again, I was dating this girl, and then it was a long-distance relationship. It went on for a couple years, but it was a lot of drama, and eventually it fell apart. And during that time, I'm playing this game, and that was the playthrough where I got that cutscene Again, because like I played it maybe 10 times, and like I've gotten that cutscene like 4 times. You really can go through the game a number of different ways. Long story short, that tune one night when I was like ruminating about the problems and the relationship and just the emotions I had, that tune was on because I would put on like soundtrack music in the background often, and it really made me emotional. It like really hit me strongly. So the game or the music in my mind, this track is linked to the game, yes, but it's also linked to the sort of phase in my life where I was playing the game, but also dealing with like a lot of emotional stuff, and that's the kind of track it is. It's this kind of like this like melancholic, like, strong emotions, but not the best ones sort of feeling. So let's get it. This is Star Stealing Girl by Yasunori Mitsuda from the game soundtrack for Chrono Cross, which I'm trying to remember the year it came out. Is it 2000? I guess it's 2000. I thought it was a little earlier than that, but yeah, it says here on the back 2000. So Yasunori Mitsuda, Star Stealing Girl from Chrono Cross, 2000. Sort of bittersweet, but the piano is just heartbreaking. It's like a clarinet or like an oboe maybe. Time I saw that cutscene, it really was a powerful scene. It's such a well done game, and it's in the little details. It's a cutscene that not every player will see as they go through. What are you doing? Two full run-throughs and then it fades. I was just thinking, part of what makes the scene so special and that I didn't mention in advance is it's the first time you see Kid be a little vulnerable. When you meet her in the game, she's this brash, sort of yeah, like tomboy. She, you know, like she fights people and she beats people up, and she's really tough, and she's tough talking, and she speaks with like, they give her like this, I don't know if it's supposed to be like a Cockney or like a Australian accent. Like her, you know, you don't hear her talk. It's like written, but like, you know, there are apostrophes instead of G's. Like the way like her speech is rendered indicates that she speaks with sort of a hard talking accent. And, you know, like, you know, in the real world it would be like, again, either a Commonwealth accent, whether again Australian or from the UK. But the way they render it suggests that she's a tough talking sort of person. So in that cutscene, she's talking about, you know, being vulnerable and growing up and being scared and like not having anyone to turn to, and she starts saying like, you know, you're one of the first friends that I've had, and you know, I really appreciate it. And so it's the beginning of, you know, eventually that, like, if you pursue it, you don't have to, like, again, you can play the game in a number of different ways, but I think for a lot of people, and certainly the way I play it, is that you save her, because there's a point where she gets sick and you don't have to save her, she can let her die. But if you save her, the like romance sort of angle of like begins to pick up, and then if you do that, and if you beat the game in the best possible way, which requires you to like engage, you don't even like kill him, but like engage with the final boss in a very specific and in some senses difficult to attain way. It's not difficult actually. If you like, once you know what's going on in the last battle and the way you have to beat it to get the best ending, there are things you can do to make it much easier. But yeah, going into it the first time, like, I don't know how you'd have any clue how to do the real best ending. But once you do that, if you beat it and get the best ending, which is like 20 minutes long, 25 minutes long, it's a really special thing that like happens between Kid and Surge. So like, yeah, it's worth it in the long haul is what I'm saying. And again, if you play the game in a way that you get that cutscene, it's really special, like both musically and narratively. So I'll stop talking. It's a long enough video, but let me know what you think of the tune. I'll see you next time. Peace.